It's the Sunday service. The super dance team. Disco be a warning. Doobie doobie doo, doobie doo.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Sunday service. Tonight I am joined by this bellend. Say hello, Fred. He's decided to take root on the back of my chair. I'm very glad to announce tonight also that I am no longer kicked in the head by a horse, although it has taken some days for the makeup to fade. Actually, yeah, that was pretty disturbing, but I am no longer horribly right wing. I have to say thank you to everyone that interacted with that particular Halloween piss take. I wanted to do a kind of mixture of pure horror and April Fools, really, by becoming my antithesis. Thank you to Diz in the chat this evening for moderating, and also Chris C. We are the mods, we are the mods, we are the mods. Right, I wanted to touch on this evening. I say touch very loosely because there's no way in hell that I would ever want to touch any of them. If it's low, then probably check your own settings if the audio is low, because it's about as high as it can get on my mic, I'm afraid. So I don't know what to tell you. Hello to Steve Merriman, who says I was very convincing, which is quite terrifying, as a reformer. Hello, Alistair M. Kerr, also in the chat tonight, moderating like a bastard. I wanted to have a little... Hello, Sarah Davis. Hello, Tommy Wiley. Hello, Loki. Hello, everybody. Yeah, the reason that I wanted to talk a little bit tonight, I don't know how much detail I'm going to go into yet, about the broverlords, the tech bros, the horrors that can only be described as the weirdos that are actually in control of our world. The reason I want to talk to them about them tonight is because unfortunately we have seen, another horrible act of violence take place yesterday on a train from Huntingdon to London. And unfortunately, the moment that something like that happens, you see the networks start to rally. And as I've spoken about in my videos before, you can tell when it is very obviously coordinated and planned, and the far right in overdrive, because it's so fast and copy and pasted and overwhelming in its volume. And people keep talking about Tinderbox Britain, because they just push it everywhere. So they're kind of like poised for tragedy and poised for violence. The kind of violence that doesn't happen in reaction, or the kind of calls for violence that don't happen when the perpetrators are white men. Because if it was, that would be all that they did, because it's so common. But one common denominator in all of the attacks and the acts of violence, whether it's a reaction to an act of violence or it's just spontaneous acts of violence, is the common denominator is men. Now, I know that I have a lot of good men that follow me, and I know that the good men that follow me will know that it doesn't apply to them when I say this, and they won't go straight to defensiveness. But one of the reasons that I'm pointing this out isn't just because there is a violence epidemic when it comes to men, but also because the far right is specifically targeting men and young men. It's a business model for them now. And what happened yesterday is being referred to as not terror related. Personally, I can't think of anything more terrifying than being trapped on a train with two men going mental with a knife, personally. And I think that we need the scope of terrorism to be broadened out. And I think we also need misogyny to be made a hate crime that can count as an act of terror. Because terrorism isn't just motivated by political ideology, not by a long shot. And with the rise of the, as I say in my title, the guys that haven't touched a tit until it was paid for, they are the people that basically control the social media platforms. They're the people that are creating AI, terrifyingly. And they are stunted individuals who also have a really scary ideology behind them. A frankly terrifying ideology, which is to become the king, like the lords, the new, to supersede, to be bigger than governments. That is their ultimate aim. That is their final solution. To do away with democracy. Because having all the money in the world isn't enough. Someone just said that one of the men has been released. It was a lone person. Well, there you go. But it's always a bloke though, isn't it? The people that are calling for violence are increasingly becoming varied. People that we didn't ever used to associate with the far right are starting to get involved in all of this because it is systematic, absolutely endless 24/7, 365 radicalisation of people. Now, I don't know how many of you saw, but there's this weird guy who I call Timu Hitler on Twitter, who was all over Twitter. He's called Hugh Anthony. And I think he runs a, what's it called? Some kind of like YouTube channel. He's one of the people that are cashing in on this. Because there's so many different branches that kind of come off of this now. There's people that are trying to emulate the Nick Fuentes style Groyper movement, which is so messed up on so many levels. It's really hard to even get into all of that. They're like extreme incels, right? And they're another group of people that are being targeted by the fact that there's just so many offshoots. There's the trad wife thing, which is pushing Christian nationalist ideals of family life, the nuclear family, women being barefoot and pregnant. Then you've got the old school far right in Britain that never really went away, that were just waiting for an opportunity. Now you've got, as an offshoot of them, people that are realising that they can make loads of bank by essentially taking their little fucking cameras on a stick to riots. I've just realised I've just opened a cut on my finger. I cut myself on a tin can earlier today and I've just eaten my own blood. So you go. Vampire. A few days after the Halloweening. Right, I've got some super chats here. I just want to say a quick hello to Steve Byrne. Thank you very much for the super chat. And also to Flint Reed, who says, "Good evening, dear lady. Happy belated Halloween." Yeah, I'm getting into the spirit of that tonight by bleeding on a live stream. Charlie bit my finger. It's I was trying to avoid getting cut by a tin can that I had to hack into. and it's so stingy. And I went straight into the can, and a really nasty cut on my finger, like proper deep. And it really hurts. I'm normally not a wuss with this kind of thing. The police were on the scene in the Huntingdon attack within a very short amount of time, which is commendable. Some of the people that are speaking from the scene of what they saw, it sounds horrific, absolutely horrific. I hope everyone that was involved in that was okay. It was just frenzied from what I can hear, or what I have heard. I'm going to go into my notes because there's something that I am going to forget about this, but is important to say. Flint Reed, thank you very much again. Buy yourself some sticking plasters, Tan. I did have a plaster on. Sorry, I've got an itchy nose. But I took it off to do the washing up. But there's a cycle here. No longer bleeding. There's a cycle. There's a breaking story, right? A story will break, and immediately, even if the suspect is white now, they're still doubting the origin of the attacker. And then when it's later found out that that person is, British or other, then they just ignore it. They ignore, because it's not relevant to what they're trying to push. And as we all know how the algorithms work, they reward outrage because it keeps the users on the channel. It will keep them on the app. And people that are trying to convert ad revenue, trying to convert outrage into ad revenue and huge amounts of money from their blue ticks being pushed, will fuel it. And then you've got the richest prick in the world weighing in, like he is in many European countries now, trying to seed division and outrage and trying to incite. You have that added into the mix, and it just fuels it. It just goes into overdrive. And there's many studies. The MIT study on this showed that false news spreads 6 times faster than verified information. So the same dynamic also applies on European platforms. And Musk has got his fingers in all those different pies constantly, trying to seed and whip up hatred in all different places, because that is beneficial to him. Because what he wants, what people like hellishly scary people like Peter Thiel wants, is chaos, disorder, violence, and that violence to spread into the public consciousness, into real acts of violence. And that has already happened. Just look at what happened with the Southport attacks. This isn't just bigotry, it is a business model. And each lie that goes viral is a stream of revenue for the people that are pushing it. And it's not just financial gain, it's also political capital. So I just realised that I've got some supers. I'm going to try and toe the line here between my rants and my super chats, because there's a lot to get through here. So sorry, Stephen. Hello to Louis Mosley. He runs Palantir UK and EU, I think. He had a very famous ancestor you might have heard of, specifically a grandfather called Oswald. Jolly. Well, there you go. Palantir are actually terrifying. They were funded, I'm going to go into my research notes about this, but they were essentially funded by the CIA. They're being used by ICE. They will be used one day to control all of us. Sounds like a conspiracy. It's not. I wish it was. I wish it wasn't real. But yeah, I'm going to be coming on to that in a bit, Stephen. But yeah, it's a very good point that not a lot of people know. The Oswald lineage perseveres. Money perseveres, because Oswald Mosley wasn't a poor bloke. Frank Waits, thank you for the £2 super chat, and thank you to Winkle89. No message, just little super chats. Phil Nelson, thank you. Buy a new can opener, very much worth it. I've got a real problem where I can't really work can openers. I go all cat-candid. Like, I just can't... Ow, I just opened up my cut again. Lynn! Got my foot on a spike. Just having a little cup of tea. And a cup of herbal tea, actually. Ben says, howdy, shouty lady. Howdy, Ben. Bonjour to you and yours. Yuri, hello Yuri. Elon Musk is what happens when you try to make a person out of mashed potato and hate. Just mashed potato. Well, no, and country and hate, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, Tim Ballum. So who is this Nadia Sass who obviously needs a guide dog? Now, I think that you've obviously also signed up to The Nerve, which is Carol Cadwalader's new journalistic outlet, which I would advise everybody to check out because it is brilliant. And I had this article open on my phone because it is frankly terrifying that anyone would ever think that Nigel Farage is handsome. Carol Cadwalader's also put this out on her Substack. Now, last week, Carol Cadwalader spoke about the woman who's at the centre of the Russian spy ring scandal that should be rocking Britain, Nathan Gill, etc. Now, The Guardian were one of the few that actually put out an article about this week. But Nadia Sass is the other half of Ola Voloshin, the Russian agent that was sanctioned by the US, UK and EU, and who the UK police charged with bribery. Right? Now, he was accused of paying money to a UK politician to make pro-Kremlin statements about in the European Union when he was an MEP. Now, that was Nathan Gill, who ended up being the head of reform in Wales, who has now pleaded guilty to 8 separate counts of bribery and is awaiting sentencing this month, a couple of weeks' time, just under. Right? Now, Nadia Sass has spoken out and has been given a right to reply on all of this. And her response is, I hardly know Nigel, having exchanged a couple of phrases with him when asked for a photo opportunity. Just because he's a celebrity and a handsome and stylish English gentleman. Now, Nadia is evidently blind to reality and physically blind. But that's who she is. She's Voloshin's wife. Looking at Voloshin, I imagine that, you know, the money came in handy when it came to that partnership. Flint Reed says, do not read this super chat. It will just interrupt the rant. Well, I've kind of finished the rant for now until the next rant. But that's the story, right? They're the kind of key players in all of this. And when this all broke and Nigel Farage was repeatedly denying that it happened, one of the few people to get a bit of airtime on telly for this was leader of the Greens, new leader of the Greens, Zach Plansky. Because he pushed this. And it did get some coverage as a consequence. But Carol Cadwalader, before it fully broke, was sharing just a picture of Farage with the wife, with the wife of Voloshin. So she also talked about freedom of expression in her reply, her right to reply to Carol, saying, when I was a student, I used to believe in high standards of British media, and the UK is a bulwark of freedom of expression and press. Since then, this once well-deserved fame has dramatically faded away. Yeah, okay. We don't have... You're right, love. We don't have freedom of press. We have arguably too much freedom of expression in terms of absolute lies being peddled by the mainstream media in this country, and them constantly wanking themselves silly over people like Farage, or just turning into a PR arm of Reform and then the Conservative Party. That's what they're there for, because they all go to the same fucking schools, they all go to the same parties, the same members clubs, etc. So the problem is, it took the press like fucking years to charge Gil. Way too long. It was ages after he had been an MEP. I mean, look at how long it's been since Brexit, since we actually left the European Union. He was an MEP for Britain. So we've finally got Guardian coverage. I'm going to be working on my video on this on the next few days. But it's all developing, and I'm glad that I waited to do this. I'm glad that I gave it a bit of time. Because more and more is coming out about this story. And the payments that we're talking about were like 4 or 5 grand a pop. It wasn't a small sum of money. And they weren't just bribes, they were kind of like media appearance fees. That's the line that's coming out of Russia. It's evidently bullshit. Now, what I'm going to have to do here for a second, you all, is pause, because I've done something really stupid. And I've plugged everything in besides my laptop, and it's going to die. So if you'll bear with me just a second, I'll leave you with Fred, who, while I run and get my charger. So for now, Fred's going to take the show. I'm just going to run and get my charger. I won't be a sec. Much to say, Fred. Why aren't you talking to the people? They want to hear your words. Right. Okay. Here we go. This is, as ever, 100% professional. 100% profesh. Right. Right, slightly less chance of the stream dying now. Brilliant. Oh my god. Is he feline okay? Come on, guys. Come on. Is he feline okay? God. What are you like? What are you guys like? Kirsty Hamilton. Great chat, Fred. Frederick? Thank you, Kirsty. Dear God. Anyway. Anywho. So, we all know, as I was talking about earlier on, the way that the disinformation, the monetized of, we know how that all works. But what I didn't know was the Online Safety Act does not cover legal but harmful content. So conspiracy narratives, disinformation that incites hate, apparently fine. Ofcom's disinformation codes will not be fully enforced until 2026. And in the meantime, we have got rampant radicalisation. Like rampant radicalisation. Uncontrollable radicalisation. So at the moment, what we're relying on as a country is essentially voluntary moderation by the companies whose income depends upon radicalisation, i.e. engagement. So what we've got is not just that occurring, but simultaneously we've got kind of like the mainstream media like laundering the lie. So they will be essentially just aggregators for what's said online. And a lot of the time they're not even checking disinformation. Their journalism standards in this country have just ceased to exist. So they also give rumour and malicious rumour a veneer of legitimacy, which they shouldn't, obviously. And we all know that politicians, certain politicians in particular, have got loads of money to pile into this. Loads of money. Extortionate amounts of money. So, and we all kind of can hazard a guess, you know, Gil, on the kind of foreign interference that could be at play in terms of donating money to these parties, because there's still not rules being properly enforced when it comes to crypto payments. And do you know who relies on crypto for income? Terrorists. Yeah. Literal terrorists. Jihadists. The far right. Reform. So this is a massive problem. And it keeps us disorganised, fragmented, divided, instead of collectively pulling together. Because the minorities that are a danger to this country are not people of different skin colours. The minorities that are a danger to this country and the world are fucking billionaires. They are cultivating this web of hatred. Cultivating it. And stirring it. And they have the power to create mobs. Literal mob rule. And incite violence. And that's precisely what they're doing. We are in fuckloads of trouble. We are in danger. Because the Labour government's doing fuck all about it. They're doing nothing. They're sitting back and they are allowing it. Because they're a vassal state for the US. Because the moment that they start talking about whether or not, should we implement some legislation here? The so-called free speech absolutists who hate it when you talk about Charlie Kirk getting pewed. But yet think it's fine to throw out the R slur, the ableist R slur, or the N word with a hard R. They think that's free speech. But you can't joke, or make a joke, or go as Halloween like one poor lad did, as Kirk. Post-incident. No, that's not allowed. No, it's not freedom. That's freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Anywho, just going to catch up. See, I've got some sorters. Hello, lads. Hello, Fernando. Can you hear the drums, Fernando? Thanks for getting the charger. Now we can have extra minutes. Well, thank you for your lovely comment. I am ranty tonight. There's a lot to get through. Stephen Merriman. Why have I been banned from Threads? I don't know. You're not banned from Fred. I'll tell you that for now. Fred's a slut. Aren't you, Fred? Freddy boy. Yeah. Pete Doherty, thank you very much for the £1 super chat. Appreciate your support of the channel. Stephen Merriman, Adorno said fascism is aimed at the ignorant. Well, yeah, but it's also cultivated very carefully. I mean, when you look back at the 30s, they could have cried out, they would have screamed out they'd have bowed down for the ability to reach as many people as quickly as we can now. The problem is the kind of like the volume, the way that they're able to effortlessly reach so many people so quickly. So you've got daily culture war content all over Talk TV, all over GB News. You've got all of that fueling disinformation. You've got cowardice from politicians. You've got a lack of regulation, and it is a free-for-all. People are being radicalised to violence. Men are, mostly. But there are obviously women that are supporting this, that are turkeys voting for Christmas. That's the problem. They're regulating radicalisation and disinformation memes as if it's like with the same urgency as if they were fixing fucking potholes, when it is the number one cause of unrest and disorder and people going mental. But it's because it's white lads. If this was like a radicalisation scheme that was focused on Muslims, do you think they would be dragging their heels? If Elon Musk, if his name was Abu Hamza, do you think they would be dragging their heels? And he was shouting, terrorist slogans out like Musk is. Do you think they would have cracked down on social media by now? It's the whole white is right thing, isn't it? And there's no doubt that it is just as harmful. Just as harmful. Because, as I said in my video the other day, they create each other. They fuel each other. It's a circle. It's a circle of cunts. And it's horrifying. Absolutely horrifying, because it's not going to get better. The longer it's left, the more people and relatively normal people are getting sucked into this. And that's terrifying. And not just that, but Labour's action broadly when it comes to, asylum myths and Cooper's strategy, for example. Now, I'm looking at some notes I wrote ages ago for a video I didn't record, but I think this is going to come into my next video. Now, the way that she's confronting disinformation is with data, right? So she's thinking, if it's rational, it's on paper, we can kind of assert this difference between political theatre and reality, and policy. But data alone, or data full stop, will not win a culture war, because culture wars aren't built on facts. If culture wars were based on facts, we would be golden, because people would go, oh look, that's the fact. There's no need for me to go out with this baseball bat now and this can of petrol and try and burn down an asylum hotel, because facts. These people are not running on facts. So what they're doing is they're taking according to YouGov polling, right, this year, nearly a half of surveyed Britons wrongly think that illegal migrants outnumber those here legally. Wrongly. That's 72% of those who support mass deportations. And official estimates show legal migration outnumbers irregular migration by at least 10 to 1. So the gap between belief and reality is stark. And not just that, the fact that it's been created is not accidental. It is absolutely planned. It's a result of years of distortion, disinformation, platforming the far right and their talking points on regular media, the normalisation of the far right. Got people like Farage and Jenrick who conflate illegality with asylum and criminality, right? They are not focused on facts because facts do not align with what they're trying to sell and what keeps them rich. So they're giving this, they cherry pick stats. You've got the Centre of Economic Migration, whatever the fuck it's called, that's actually a reform guy doing it. They're creating an image of a country that's under siege that makes people automatically feel like they've got something they have to protect. That's just normalisation of radicalisation, but it's towards the far right. And now anyone that's not white is automatically not seen as British. So it's a free-for-all in terms of hate crimes. There has been yet another racially motivated rape. And this is all the crimes that we've seen committed physically have all been men. All of them. And the just asking questions narrative is fueling that because it is a form of stochastic terrorism. So Cooper's strategy of confronting disinformation with data, thinking, oh, what we'll do is we'll just give people the facts. Not going to fucking work considering what I've just said, is it? And they refuse to regulate the media because they're fucking cowards. So we're going to end up in a situation where it's just an absolute free-for-all. Because even in an attempt to be transparent about who's committing the crimes, and let's face it, it's going to be majority white, they're reinforcing the belief that being foreign automatically means being a criminal. Especially when the dominant public narrative is completely skewed. One second. Thank you. 6 months. Sanity's overrated, unlike this stream. Here's for another 6 months. Thank you very much, Yuri. Appreciate you. Chris Berridge, thank you too. Keep it up, Tam. We need people to keep on resisting. And also because you said circle of cons. Yeah, I did. Thank you for acknowledging that. It's on brand with Musk holding up the little lad, innit? The little Trump baby. Oh my God, Curtis L. Is Fred a liberal demo cat? Kirsty Hamilton, amazing. All the shouting about culture, all they have is money and no morals. I agree. Absolutely agree with you there. Mark, are we all going to support the Greens to save us? Well, they can't win a fucking election. That's our only bother here. I 100% respect what they stand for. And thank you all for your lovely super chats. But they can't... At the moment, let's see how it goes. But they haven't got the kind of funding, the level of funding that Reform have got. So I don't know. I don't know how they'll do it. I'm having a think about Greens, but you know, they're doing the right thing. Your party is shambolic. I signed up the other day for your party, said that I'd already paid a membership fee. Do you know what I signed up as? I went on the site and signed up, just pretended I was already a member. Do you know what I signed up as? And they let me. First name, your. Second name, Dad's Balls. I signed up as your Dad's Balls. And they let me. They shouldn't have let me. I'll stop doing it when you stop laughing. That's what I'm saying. That's what I saw. So your dad's balls is now a proud member of your party. Thanks, Jenny Robinson. I've been trying to send a super chat about the abuse I've been getting on social media and the YouTube won't allow me to send it. Were you specifying? They don't like it when you specify. But I'm really sorry that you've been getting that. I mean, Jenny, I'm assuming that you're a woman. They don't like us talking. No, they think that, you know, women should sit there and talk about kittens and, you know, fuck that. But as I was saying, the people that have been standing up against this stuff when it comes to Labour are people like Amnesty International. What would they know? Right? They've cautioned against releasing suspects' ethnicities, accusing the government of pouring fuel on the fire of dangerous narratives instead of taking action to address racism and hostility. And that is 100% true. Neil Basu, former head of counter-terrorism, an all-round fucking legend. Love that guy. Love that guy. First man of colour to ever be appointed to that role. Said that the government's appealing to the worst kind of populist sentiment regarding Farage and Jenrick endangering trials with immigration hysteria. Ed Davey has also called for the Attorney General to issue a formal warning to Farage and Jenrick about live cases because they have been trying to influence live cases. Actual fucking elected politicians are doing this. So when you're at that stage where this rot of insanity is in government, it's partly in the government through inaction. You've got populist figures using it as a selling point for their fucking election campaign in advance. You've got unregulated social media. You've got a Labour Party that refuses point blank to regulate the actual media, who are too scared. So as a consequence, we've not just got billionaires, you know, radicalising millions with hatred and division online. We've also got billionaires radicalising people through the papers that they own that spark the national conversation, and they essentially run our country. Brilliant. Sometimes I wish I drank more. Because what do you do with this? I'm just a little YouTube channel. Short and stout. And there's only so much that I can do. Or any of us can do. It's David versus Goliath, you know? We are, you know, we can get some good views sometimes, you know, we can't influence people all day, every day into seeing how this is bullshit. So what do you do with it? What do you do with it? I mean, the whole idea of mass deportation is a policy with no precedent in politics since the 70s. This is what it's now normalised in public discourse and political debate. That is normalised. We are rolling back the clock on our rights. The Christian nationalists are taking over. We're being sent back to the dark ages. And people aren't going to realise what they've done until it's too late. Just like with Johnson. Except this is a million times worse. Even though Johnson, that's quite a neat little segue actually. Because Johnson pushed for Peter Thiel to have more control. The guy that is already balls deep in our NHS at the moment. Balls deep. Now, for those of you who don't know, Peter Thiel is a Silicon Valley investor, co-founder of PayPal, early backer of Facebook, creator of the data analytics firm Palantir, and a long-time donor in hard-right political campaigns in the US. Now, he is relevant in Britain because his companies are now entwined with British public contracts. And his ideas shape the tech industry that essentially regulates itself. Now, this is a guy that said freedom and democracy are no longer compatible. He called the NHS Stockholm Syndrome. And he said it makes people sick. And in his book 0 to 1, he wrote competition is for losers. Now, the problem is, his vision of the future isn't like some free market. Far from it. It's actually techno-feudalism. And that's the power, basically, in the hands of the very few people that actually have the coding, have the apps. And Mountainhead is starting to look very pressing at the moment. Because this is where it's going. To him, regulation isn't a part of business, it's censorship. Taxation, theft, democracy, something that's for sale. And my fear when it comes to digital ID is someone like Thiel getting his grubby hands on even more of our data. Because that's a possibility. Now look at the language that's used by these elites who are trying not to be the elites. Who say the elites are trying to stop you from doing what you want to do. The bureaucrats, they are the elites, they are the bureaucrats. But both rely on grievance as a selling point. It sounds like conspiracy, but it's essentially marketing strategy. And that's where we are. So, one of the first people that Starmer met when he took office was Peter Thiel. With Mandelson. Old Epstein Mandy. Now, Palantir, as I said earlier, was founded with backing from the CIA's In-Q-Tel Fund. Built for intelligence and defense and analysis and used by the US military, CIA and NSA. And it's known for integrating massive data sets for surveillance and logistics. Ooh. Nothing wrong with all of that shit being owned by the guy that I've just described, is there? No, I'm sure we're safe as fucking houses with that head case, with that much unchecked power. A guy who can regulate his own rules. Yeah. ICE are using it. Now, the NHS, in 2023, Palantir won a £48 million contract, which kind of knits together patient and operational data from hospitals and GP surgeries into one dashboard, essentially. Now, people always say this, don't they? I mean, where have you heard the word efficiency being used before? Heil, etc., you know? But the government said it was about efficiency. But it puts unprecedented amounts of information in the hands of one single foreign contractor. All of our information in the hands of one single foreign contractor. So he calls the NHS a socialist failure. Says we've all got Stockholm Syndrome when it comes to using NHS. And yet his company now profits from its data backbone. So, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, as I said, it's got contracts with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. You know, the Gestapo in America that are dragging people off the streets. And at the moment, Trump is... Sorry, my camera's skeweth. At the moment, Trump is stopping benefits payments and vital food payments and welfare payments. Yet last night, or in recent nights, hosted a Gatsby-style ball for all his billionaire backers. Because that's how it works. And now a bunch of people that have voted for Trump are sitting there going, maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all. To which I say, enjoy eating gruel, you fucking morons. Everyone told you. Literally everyone told you. Everyone told you this would happen. Doesn't take a genius to work out that the pantomime villain might after all be a pantomime villain, does it? Fuck me. Now, if Palantir get their hand on digital IDs, we're fucked. Just so you're aware. We're absolutely fucked. Well, I'd say we're pretty fucked anyway. Like, enjoy life while you can. That's my advice nowadays. Enjoy life while you can. Because it's not going to get better. Not going to get better. Because basically, our government is like a eunuch at a gangbang. About as much use as, you know. Because people aren't going to get less angry. People aren't going to get less angry without intervention. So what's going to happen? They're going to get more angry. And what happens when men are angry? Violence. The only way that we can stop this is by mobilising. But we're divided as fuck. If anyone's got any suggestions for how we can, hit me up. I'm just going to go into the chat. See what you twats are talking about. Oh, God. Stephen Merriman, thank you for the super. Nice to see a euro. 40% of 18 to 24-year-old Spaniards say they will vote for Vox the fascists. Fuck me. One generation only from frigging Franco. Worsening misogyny and violence erupting. They're targeting them hard. There was someone the other day, I can't remember who it was on social media, who said they went onto TikTok and they looked up, it was Anne Russell. Brilliant woman. She looked up a video about Tenconi. Fucking Tenconi. The tiny little baldy midget man. He basically did this whole mental crusades thing in London. And it was the same day that they tried to get Narinder Kaur arrested. My friend A. Thompson, Another Disappointments, check him out, did a great video on this. I hyped the shit out of that because it was a brilliant video. She looked at that and it was almost immediately that her timeline started showing her videos from young men. How this is allowed on TikTok, well, I do know because even the moderation's misogynistic. Videos where men were basically saying, well, you know, these feminists, you know, a lot of them just haven't been slapped around enough, basically. She, as a 60-something-year-old woman, was getting videos like that recommended to her because she looked at the UKIP leader. I say UKIP, they're basically like mad religious head cases, like Christian nationalists now. And a video in which a man can say that women should be slapped around more stays up on TikTok. A video the other day that I did, which outlined how 41% of the people arrested at Southport were previously reported for domestic violence, that was taken down. I had that flagged the other day. I don't even use TikTok anymore for this very fucking reason. That's why I came over to YouTube and you beauties. The video that I did about explaining how Tommy 10 Names harassed a waterboarded Syrian refugee who was targeted by racists, right? And that's why he was arrested, taken down for hate. My video outlining how the rioters are domestic abusers, taken down for nondescript breaking of the rules, apparently. Men can say whatever they like in comment sections on Instagram. You clap back at them, you get banned. Even showing their own words that they have said to you as a woman gets you a warning. So yeah, quite lazy. If I'm trans, do you think I should be planning to leave the country about now? Yes. Yes, I do. I'm planning to. I'm trying to think about how I can. Yeah, it's a nightmare. Yuri. Hello, Yuri. The rich never notice the poor unless they're looking down to see what they're treading on. We're a means to an end for these people. This is the problem. We are a means to an end for these rich fuckers who are trying to claim they're not the elites. We're skulls to step on. And that's why it makes me so angry to see other people of my class falling for this. Because they are being serfs. And to me, it's like, it's real, like, it's the most disgusting thing you can be. It's almost like, you know, a scab energy. You know, crossing a picket energy. That's what it is. Tim Ballum. Isn't Thiel trying to help abort Trump and Satan's bum baby? Fucking hell. I don't know, is the answer to that question. Thanks. Nesta, greetings from Berlin. AfD and Reform are fascist garbage. Correcto. Yes, they are. Very well said. It's not very often that I'm caught out. But the bum baby one got me, I have to say. Thank you for linking Aid Thompson. He's also the guy that does the intro for my show, and he's also a dear friend of mine. I love Aid. He's my boy. He's my special boy. Stephen Merriman. Fascists attack women first always. I mean, yeah. I mean, the women. I've been saying this recently to the women, right? The women that stupidly, very stupidly, think that the far right is going to be on their side. I invite them to Google the term Joy Division. Yeah, and see how well they'll do. Or, I don't know, just look at the Taliban. Because these people are basically Christian Taliban. They're doing the same oppression. They're just doing it under the banner of a different religion. Oh, South Park, says Tim. I was thinking the other day about the South Park episode where it's evil Mickey Mouse, and it's he's laying into the Jonas Brothers. Came all the way down here to solve your problems. What's this I hear about you not wearing your purity rings, huh? One of the best episodes ever. Mickey has now returned to Valhalla, where he will feast and slumber. Aid is a shit flap. I agree, Yuri. Total shit flap. Total shit flap. Me and Aid are going to be doing some collabs soon. And you guys will like it, because if you're not already, please go now. Go now. And follow Aid Thompson. And also my good friend Graham Hughes. They're equally my beloved boys. Love them. Fucking love them. Love the pair of them. Transphobe treat trans women how they treat cis women. They didn't need them for sex and reproduction. We're both treated the same way by men. We're both beaten and killed at alarming rates by cis men. And also, like, the amount of people that are funding TERFs are the same people that are funding, like, anti-abortion groups, Heritage Foundation, etc. You know? Gary Garner. I think you're going to get taken out of the super chat. Out of the super chat, out of the chat forever and ever and ever. Unbelievable. Another one I've guessed that we've got that is bending over for little Tommy. Yeah? Do you send your universal credit payments to him, do you? Are you like a pay pig for Tommy? Does it do it for you when he gets does it do it for you when he rinses your money? Does it make you feel special in your pants? I bet it does, doesn't it? Yuri, I cannot confirm nor deny attendance publicly anywhere, really. I'll talk to Aid about it, though. Probably. Yeah. Stephen Merriman. I talked to my neighbours, over 70 women. Over 70 women. I want to tell you so much about this. They have horrendous stories. These stories need to be heard. Trust me. Every woman I know has a horrendous story. And it's not a horrendous story that's caused by women harming them. If I turn around at night and I see a woman behind me, I feel relief. Men also are not worried about a woman behind them at night, are they? They're worried about another man. I'm just over men, to be honest with you. Like, totally. Totally fucking had it. So yeah. Can't remember what I'd got to now when what I was bloody talking about. There's a lot going on, man. That Hugh Anthony fella that I was telling you about the other day, I've already had previous with him because he was trying to class Englishness as an ethnicity. Stupid backwards little Hitler, right? And I called him Timu Hitler. This was like about a couple of months ago, I think. And he's this little, even looks like him. He's even got the stupid facial hair. And he streams from, it turns out, his mum's spare room. And he was all over Twitter the other day, grifting for money, asking for a crowdfunder, because his dad physically kicked him out of the house for being a little fash. And there was a whole video around it, right? He's recording his dad. First of all, he made his mum cry. Live on this video, he's streaming. He's like, just because I've got a different opinion, I'm trying to protect this country. And something about our heritage or something about our identity or basically whiteness, white shit. And it's really quite sad because there's one bit where his dad's like, what have you become? I didn't bring you up. What have you become? What he's become is radicalised. And his own parents aren't even, according to him, left wing. Like, they're conservatives. And his branch of racism is a step too far for them. And he's hiding in his mum's spare room at the age of 20-something, streaming horrifically racist shit online. And gets kicked out of the house. His dad looked like a proper hard bastard, though, I have to say. And he was... So I'm trying to move my thing over. He was... there was more that came out. Because it turns out that just like Fuentes, because he's trying to be the kind of like Nick Fuentes, I think. Incel boy. Quite right. Beat me to it, Helmhurst. He's trying to be like this little incel lad. But it turns out there was loads of videos about him in gay bars and being out in gay bars. I personally could not give a solitary fuck if someone's gay. It literally doesn't even matter. Never has mattered to me. What I give a shit about is whether or not someone's fascist and hypocritical. So the important points from that video was that he made his own mother cry. He said, "I hate you lot, I always have," to his own family. And they were talking about him being radicalised, and he was just calling it, trying to claim it was just a difference of opinion. He's got sacked from his job over all of this. "I'm a political commentator," he was saying. No, you're not. You're fucking not. Like, that takes real research. That takes fuckloads of research. Like, unbelievable amounts to get to the point where you're A, making sure you're doing it credibly, and B, not having anyone ever pull you up 100 times a day for fucking something up. Because if I did not adhere so closely to the research that I do, all my comments would just be is men telling me that I've got something wrong. Because they love that. Love doing that. Stephen Merriman, I was fucked up. I was literally fucked up by men, never recovered. I'm sorry, man. There's a sickness, man. There's a horrible sickness. And now it's like they're trying to fucking Uno reverse and Darvo everything. And if anyone has ever been a victim of any form of abuse, like be it especially emotional, right? There is this kind of like sick anger that you get from watching people like Farage try to make themselves the victim. The wingers and the racists trying to make themselves the victim in all of this constantly. It's enraging. How dare you call me racist for being a racist? Just fucking own what you are. Own what you are. Don't try to hide it. Just be honest about what you are. Don't try and pretend that you're not something you are clearly being. No one owes empathy to scumbags that have no empathy for how other people live. Nobody. I have none. This is why when Charlie Kirk I was like, oh well, I don't care. I had no empathy whatsoever. Mind you, it looks like, if I was a bit more conspiracy theoristy, I would say that Trump's lot did it. Judging by Kirk and Kirk's widow and the couch shagger and that display. Barely anyone in this country had even heard of that twat. I had, but only because I'd seen him get owned by women at the debating union. Only then. Only because of that. Yeah, I'm sure loads of guys do get effed up by women, but 90+% of violent and sexual crime globally is committed by men. In that included violent attacks against men. By men. 90+% globally. That's an issue in agenda. Yeah, you get the odd however many percentage of women that are twats too. Of course you do. But Jesus Christ. Kirk nearly went Israel critical. Probably had something to do with it. I saw a really funny joke the other day about how JD Vance's wife must be feeling about all of this. If I was her, I would check her brakes on her car because she's become very inconvenient to him. She's very inconvenient religiously and racially to him. But someone said his wife can't even ask him to sleep on the couch as a punishment, which I thought was very good. Yeah, I really do think that Kirk was getting a bit inconvenient for them. That's just like my opinion, man. I've got no real basis for that, personally. There was something else that I was going to write, but I can't. All I've got is just a couple of scrawled notes of me that doesn't make any sense, really, which is how it normally goes. I will be making a video about what I've talked about today, by the way. I'll be getting it out, so to speak, because a lot's gone on. But I don't like it when my videos are basically controlled by reacting purely to the right wing. I like to make stuff on my own terms rather than, just contributing to them controlling the news cycle. If I'm going to call them out, I prefer to do it on my own terms. Stephen Merriman, I'm sorry to hear that you're maybe I should have put a bit of a trigger warning on what I've been talking about tonight. I'm sorry if I have caused you any distress with what I've been talking about. It's not very upbeat, is it, tonight? But what happened online last night was basically the primary thing that I wanted to talk about is how people, that whole "don't look up" thing about, the climate change catastrophe, the impending climate. Oh, another thing, brilliant. But you know how that was all playing out. The same thing applies to looking up at the billionaire class, at the people that control the things that we're massively addicted to. Because the social media apps, if they were all pulled tomorrow, yeah, initially people would fucking lose their minds, but they'd get used to it. They'd recover. But the last 24 hours in particular have further proven that without any form of any meaningful social media regulation, without general media regulation, without disinformation laws, the men in control of tech who had never touched a human tit until they were in their 30s are going to continue to incite violence, continue to incite overt racism, misogyny, hatred, division, and social unrest on our streets, because what they want is violence. They want blood. It's profitable to them, one way or another, political capital or real financial capital. And Labour's failure to regulate or introduce laws will fuck us all. Fuck them, but they'll be rich and out of a job where they were getting paid extortionate amounts of money to sit on their fucking hands and do nothing. And people are just losing their heads about asylum seekers and people of different races. They should be scared of Peter Thiel. They should be scared of people like Elon Musk, who is constantly on the phone to Putin. Should be scared of people like Trump, who is literally running alligator Alcatraz, who has killed loads of people, had loads of people disappeared and killed in El Salvador. And reading out the ethnicity and the place of birth of attackers by the police is completely the wrong thing to do, because what they're doing is bending over backwards to placate the far right and racists. What they should be doing is refusing to have any part in any of it. But they serve and protect the elite. So they're doing what they're told to do. So when those names are released, it's not going to dampen down the fighting people that's already been seeded through speculation in the run-up to the police announcing it. It's not going to dampen it. If it's white, though, they just carry on as normal. If it's anyone that could be even slightly deemed as foreign, i.e. not white, fucking free-for-all. This is the hyper-normalisation of the far right that we're seeing. hyper normalization. And I don't know how we can fight it. But what I do know is that if governments do nothing, we are screwed. We are screwed. It makes a fucking mockery of us having any form of democracy. Because we don't. Billionaires run the world. They own our fucking MPs. They own our prime ministers. They're too powerful. No one should be allowed to have that much money. I say we go full fucking Hunger Games on them. You know, I would like to implement toff hunting. By which you know, just do a reverse fox hunt, but with like really fucking rich people. That'd be fun. I'd like that. I would first target Jacob Rees-Mogg's manor. His fucking manor. Okie doke. We have Kirsty Hamilton. Hello, lovely. Thank you again for the super chat. If technology went down, we would become more human. I agree, my love. I agree. Yeah. I think so too. L Chaos says, introduce the Jude Law. I'd like a Jude Law on my face. The Running Man with Murdoch. Paintball? No, I mean like toff hunting, like, you know, like fox hunting. There can be only one. There can be only one. But yeah, okay, well, I've ranted enough now. I'm gonna hand over for the next, I don't know, 14, 13 minutes. Hit me with your questions and your rhythm stick. Throw at me anything you like, and I will, if it's interesting to me, answer it. If it's not, I'll just fucking ignore it, won't I? No, I probably won't see it. I was talking about social media going down, not all tech. That'd be mental. I'm talking about like no infrastructure would go down if social media, if Facebook died, would it? Oh, but I suppose a few small businesses, but. What is your favourite metamorphic rock? What's your favourite Ian Dury song? Reasons to be cheerful. 1, 2, 3. Why are you so awesome? Says blah blah CW. I don't know. I was just born this way, babes. Just born this way. I'd like Jude Law on my face. Is that not sexist? No, because reverse sexism doesn't exist because we don't hold the power in society, and therefore it wouldn't do any harm to a man to be sexualised by a woman because it's not held against him for being seen as a sexual object, whereas women are automatically seen as sexual objects and then automatically devalued by society. I hope that answers your question. Tana, had you been on the 2 fake pills when you did that dancing video? No, just the cocktails, my friend. Does Fred know who wants to live forever? No, but he knows who wants to break free. Big ups the Chapel of Unrest. Absolutely agree. 100% agree with your viewpoint there. Fucking love that fella. I love Mark, who runs Rockaway Park. He's a legend, that man. Absolute legend. I haven't been to the movies for ages. I think the last film... Oh God, what was the name of it? It was the film that oh God, what is it? I can't. Darling. Oh, I'm looking it up because it's going to annoy me. Don't Worry, Darling was the last film that I saw at the cinema, I think. Max Uspensky, mate, I think that you've got to be in your bonnet about how inequality actually works. Women only hold power in single parent families because the courts and the laws are in place to make it easy for men to leave their families and women to be stuck as the sole caregiver of those kids. It's not a law or a system that a woman built. And also, women do not hold the power when they're domestically abused and they're forced to go through the family courts, and kids are allowed to be given access to a parent that has been a rapist or an abuser. So, come on, mate. It's all a bit fathers for justice in here. Shout out to all the good dads, though. I know a few. But fucking hell, come on. Look at the systems and who built them. Flint Reed, Tan, what would you spend €5 on if you had it? Also, Tan is a stunt caster, do not bleed, and podcast at home, folks. Well, technically, yeah. I mean, my poor little finger. It's a I hopefully I'll make it through the night with that. If I had €5, what would I spend it on? If I had €5, then I'd probably be in Paris, which is my favourite place, and I would spend it on a really nice cafe. Un café, s'il vous plaît. And if I could, stretch it to a croissant. Croissant. Ethan says, what's your opinion of BBC Verified and of journalists like Mariana Spring? Mariana Spring's awesome. Got a lot of time for her and what she does. Absolutely amazing. El Chaos says, Tan, I'd have to say your last video was the best yet in my opinion. Maybe create a character and do a series of them. Oh my god, I don't know if I could be that. It made my skin crawl. It made me realise the shame that people must feel when they dress in full Nazi memorabilia, you know. It was horrible. Yuri, Charlie and my awesome daughter Kitty say hi. Hello to Charlie and Kitty. Oh no, I'm waving. Now my Tiny's going to start doing mad stuff. Thank you, Baked Potato. Thank you, Johnny55, for the $1.99 suitor. I mean, Max Sapensky's probably got the viewpoint that, you know, women have more power than they do. They don't. Like, we really don't, man. Plus, we have to spend, like, virtually every day trying to mitigate our chances of getting absolutely fucked by a man. Like, whether it's beaten or what. Can't even go on a fucking date without sharing our live location or telling a friend where we're going. It's like, oh, this is a description of him, this is where we're going, just in case he decides to murder me. Hey, let's have a nice day. We're the only fucking gender expected to mate with and love our apex predator. You know, men should be happy that we don't want revenge, which we do. Yeah, you wait. In the new world order, I'm gonna have some plans to implement. Oh yes. Oh yes. I'm just wondering what I could call my my reform alter ego. What did Max say, Chris, that crossed the line? Tell me. Type it. Tell me what he said, Chris. I'm really, like, interested in knowing. What a surprise that he crossed the line, though. Oh. Thank you for the super chat. It ain't half hot plum, I'm imagining is your name, which is fucking brilliant. Thank you. It's very kind of you. Tan, you're a good egg. Thanks. I come from a toxic home as a kid, brought up my kids thinking Brought up my kids thinking to do the opposite of my parents and be kind and respectful. It worked and they grew up happy. Loved you all. Well done you for reversing those patterns, man. Because it's absolutely appalling to come from like something like that. And so many people sadly fall into the habit of repeating the cycle. There's a few guys that I know, like my friend Aid, for example. Great dad. Really great dad. My friend Jules, great dad. Really care about their families. It's nice to see that. It's nice to see that. It undoes a lot of harm. Because sadly it carries on, you know, it can be cyclical. But I think that now our generation have had to suffer that. If you are my generation, I don't know how old you are. Maybe your parents are grown now. Your kids are grown now, not your parents are grown now. But it's really important to not continue the cycle, you know. Really important. So bravo to you. It ain't half hot plum. Herbivore, £2 super chat. Who has been the worst PM in your lifetime? Fuck, in my lifetime. That's difficult. Very difficult. Well, it's a toss-up between Liz Truss and Johnson, isn't it? I mean, they were both... I mean, Liz Truss is actually terrifyingly empty as a human being, so... It's really hard to call that one. Both of them. I'm not just picking one. Both of them. Mind you, Cameron, Brexit... Something about spandex and a cock cage. That's what Max Yapensky said. Are you fucking kidding me? Did you ban him from my channel? I hope so. Jesus Christ. Who knew that the guy that was not all men would end up coming out with overtly sexual comments? Fucking weirdos, mate. Seriously. Whack-a-mole time with trolls. Oh, does that mean we've got some critics in the house? Oh, it's not your turn to talk now. You're in my house now, bitch. Yeah. You're in my house. You don't get to say what you want to say here, because you're in my fucking house. Thank you, Alistair M. Kerr. Botal Tigget as a possible username. I mean, I was thinking... Thanks, Diz, yeah. I was thinking about... I don't really like doing characters too much. Like, I'm not a huge fan of... Because I'm not much of an actress. You know, it was really challenging throughout that video that I did not to break out of the kind of like starey, blinkless, lobotomized state that I was in. It doesn't come naturally to me. It was very difficult to say the things that I said. Put it that way. Trolls, honestly, why do they bother? Because they got tiny little knobs. Tiny little knobs and nothing to do with their lives. So like, oh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go watch the stream of a woman that I disagree with. That'll tell her. Won't it? That'll fucking tell her. Jens Saw, thank you for this sorter. Yeah, thank you to the awesome mods tonight. I agree, you well bloody said. Thank you, Diz. Thank you, Chris C. Thank you, Alice M. Kerr, for being the mods. Being the mods. I don't know if I am an excellent character actor, actually. Like, I mean, people were saying, oh, you've finally done a comedy video. And it's like, yeah, I have done more long-form explainers recently. But I have been, like, trying to implement in comedy. Like, I do try to drop the jokes. I do like fucking about, actually. Like, I don't think I could ever do it on a stage. It's easier when you can just do it as a, you know, just a dip in. And you record it at your own pace. It's easier that way. Thank you, Darren Butler, for the £10 super chat. No comment. Just a drive-by. You just drive-by'd me there. That's what you did. But no, it felt really dirty. It felt dirty. I've still got the rosette and the tie. I was actually going to do the what's it called? I was going to auction off my rosette, my bloodied rosette. But yeah, drive-by tipping. That's not such a bad thing as long as it's not cow tipping. No one likes that. It's not very fair. Thanks for the love being shown to us mods tonight. Well, I think you need it on my stream. Are you a real Essex girl? I've lived in Essex all my life, unfortunately. Well, most of it, actually. Spent a year in Australia. Spent like best part of a year in Cambridge. Spent a fair few summers in Newquay in Cornwall. Spent about a year in rave squats and punk squats. That was fun. That was an unusual way to live. So yeah, I've had a lot of weird lives, really. But yeah, Stephen M's off, is he? Oh, nice to see you, Stephen. I hope you're okay. Sorry if the discussion tonight was a bit much. I apologise if you felt a little bit. Take care of yourself tonight. Have a nice cup of tea. Have yourself a nice cup of tea. You must have lived up north because you can do the Yorkshire accent right well. Got friends from Leeds. Friends from Leeds. Even my 8-year-old son was laughing at your video. Oh my god, I don't know if 8-year-old kids should be... I don't know if 8-year-old kids should be watching my videos, personally, or anything that I do. It's not. But no, I don't like Essex. I want to leave it, actually, as soon as possible. I'm just trying to think about where I can move to, and, you know, I need to save up first before I can do that. But I'm just trying to think about where I could go. I also don't drive, so it'd have to be somewhere with good links. Well, we're getting into the yawny portion of the night now. Well, I think I've got about 4 more minutes, so be quick. Hit me with your questions. Been quite ranty this evening, haven't I? Been rather ranty. Oh no, the Princess Diana's come out. Don't want that. End up having to check my brakes on my car. I can't drive either, so that's difficult. Why do you want to live in Essex? I think you mean leave Essex, don't you? To get away from Charles. I don't have an accent, as I was an army brat, says Chrissy. Oh. Where did you hear about Sophie Hunter? Says Richard Doherty. I heard about Sophie Hunter, who is a brilliant... I'm in love with her. She's probably one of the few women on my list. I heard about her through listening to Black Bunny from Fot Squad, Hoes Depressed, which is one of my favourite songs of the year. And after listening to Hoes Depressed, I realised that she did a remix of that song with a woman called Sophie Hunter. So I scrolled through and I was like, oh, who's this Sophie Hunter that's giving it large on Thought Squad's Hoes Depressed? And then I was like, wow, that's wonderful. That's really quite wonderful. And she's got this kind of like way of storytelling that can kind of like devolve into, it reminds me of like really early Eminem. Like really reminds me of early Eminem, the way that she tells the stories. She's really good. What would the age rating for my videos be? It's got to be at least 16 plus, isn't it? Essex is a horrible, like, you must not be. You don't try to date men then, Anthony Mucken. I doubt. It's a fucking disaster. Everyone's a Tory. Or a Tommy lad. Or a reformer. Ugh. Yeah, Richard, Sophie Hunter's a bad bitch, man. I love her. Love her. She's like, she reminds me of the, what's that Disney film? Brave. She's got this like amazing mess of red hair. And she is just fearless, you know? Fucking, honestly, there's so many good female hip hop artists about. Hertfordshire's a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. My friend Jules lives there. He went around pulling down all the flags. Legend. Well, if you don't date men, then you're probably a bit less worse off. Move to East London. Can't, I'm afraid. I don't piss gold. Can just about afford where I live now. Giving up a house to go live in a room in London with my 2 cats. Essex might have beautiful countryside, but it's full of cunts. Yeah. Oh, Jonathan Pye's allowed to swear and still get away with being seen as mainstream and being a lovey. Any man that talks like I do is allowed. But I'm described as like a common, you know, attack dog if I implement swear words into my humour. If you notice, the only women that get away with doing kind of like comedy, satire, politics chat are the well-behaved ones. The ones that are kind of like plummy, middle class, doing kind of safe satire. They're the only women that tend to be allowed to do it. Mind you, I don't ever want to be an MP or be on the telly. I just want my YouTube to take over the world. So please share my videos with all of your friends and family. Because this makes me happy, having my own platform to say whatever the hell I want to say. I would not be able to deal with being told what to say in a position of power and government or on the telly. I'd hate it. Absolutely hate it. I still have to kind of censor myself slightly here though, which is annoying. Sorry, I've missed a few things in the chat. Mr. Singh or Ms. Singh, I did do a little mashup. I do know Kay and the gang as people, actually. East London is full of reform supporters, but it's well expensive. It's too much money. The only book that's ever really grabbed me has been kind of, the only books have been the kind of like the novellas of J.G. Ballard. And 1984, I remember watching him, like reading it within a day or two. Just powered through it. Couldn't put it down. Winston, my mum loves your videos and she's 80. Wow. Wow. Yeah, Alistair Kerr says, please do subscribe and hit the like button and share. Maybe share one of my good videos. I mean, this is just my kind of ranty Sunday stream. But it would help if you do make sure you subscribe on your way out, and if you hit the like button for this, even though most people don't sit through me ranting for an hour and a half on a live stream on a Sunday, in the rewatch stakes. But I will be coming back at you like Cleopatra this coming week with some more videos to horrify and amuse you, hopefully. I'll be looking into maybe doing a little side character. Maybe she can make little cameos in my videos. That would be a lot of fucking effort though, but all I'd have to do is stick a... Well, I could do it. It would be a lot of effort though. But I think that immigrants are always allowed in the chat. JK. But no, thank you all so much for watching tonight. Thank you to Chris C, to Diz, to Alistair Kern for actually batting away the bellends that came in this evening. And thank you to everybody that watched, everyone that dropped a comment, everybody that listened to me rant me arse off this evening. But yeah, no, thank you very much. And I will be back at the same time next week, roughly 8 p.m. Be late to me own funeral, I would. Definitely would. But from me and from Princess Diana, I'd like to say thank you so much. And now I'm off to check whether or not the tunnel is safe. That's not a euphemism. So, this is the part of the evening where I fumble and try and play the outro. Bye bye, you bunch of bellends.
It's the Sunday surf, the super dance team. This could be a warning.